Moonlight glimmers on Mexico's Sea of Cortez, a world filled with strange and wonderful forms of life. A few miles away, dawn approaches in the eerie cactus forest of Baja California, as the animals of the night make their last forays into the vanishing darkness. Alien sights and unearthly sounds stir the imagination, evoking visions of other worlds and other times. The peninsula of Baja California lies along the west coast of North America, a unique 800-mile-long finger of land that reaches from Southern California state deep into Mexican territory. To the east, almost enclosed by this sliver of land, lies the gulf called the Sea of Cortez, named after the famed Spanish explorer. The Baja Peninsula has been tearing away from the Mexican mainland for millions of years, along underwater extensions of the San Andreas Fault. At the rate of about 2 inches a year, the forces of the Earth have pushed the peninsula more than 150 miles northwest into the Pacific Ocean. The Baja Peninsula is now a massive breakwater, absorbing the full power of the waves that hammer its southern cape. Behind this protective barrier lies a fertile sea studded with dozens of islands, each with its own special character. In some places on the peninsula, volcanoes were still spewing molten lava only a few hundred years ago. The terrain is rugged and inhospitable, and the desert, geologically speaking, is a young one. Gradually, over about the last 10,000 years, the climate has grown arid. Some of the driest places on Earth can be found in Baja California. Years may pass without a single drop of rain. When rain does come, it often sweeps across the desert, dropping precious moisture in patches, drenching some areas while leaving others bone dry. To cope with such unpredictable rainfall, a singular landscape shaped by this harsh world has evolved. The key to survival for all forms of life here is to make efficient use of the scarce water. The elephant tree can survive long drought by storing water in its massive trunk. During extreme drought, even new leaves may be totally shed within weeks to minimize water loss. The elephantine branches also make attractive nesting sites for one of the desert's tiniest residents. A female Costas hummingbird feeds nectar to her 10-day-old chick. She's reliant on a nearby and steady source of sugar for her family. A battery of spines protects the plant's many branches, which store a precious reserve of water. Its long tubular flowers exclude most insects, and so it relies almost entirely on hummingbirds for pollination. The bird can hardly avoid rubbing pollen on her head from the flower's well-placed anthers. The substance is so sticky that even frequent preening does not dislodge it. Her crown of pollen remains, ready to fertilize the next flower she visits. Though it's managed to reach its prize, this small rodent is really better suited for life on terra firma. Its clumsy efforts have little effect on the plant, either harmful or beneficial. This land is also home to the chirillo, or bujum tree. It's among the oldest plants in Baja's cactus forest. But it isn't a cactus itself. The true cactus of the forest is the cardon, a giant which dominates the skyline. Here lives the ladder-backed woodpecker. Special feet and tail feathers equip it for maneuvering on the cardon's smooth sides. The bird is bringing insect larvae to its brood, which is waiting inside their snug cactus home. The cavities do little damage to the cardon. When the plants do die, the skeleton of woody ribs is revealed, the structure that allows these succulent plants to grow up to 60 feet tall and weigh more than 10 tons, much of it water. Most cacti have a waxy, waterproof skin capable of photosynthesis. It replaces the function of leaves, which have virtually disappeared. But most cacti have evolved something else instead: spines, which come in a whole range of shapes and sizes. The spines of the cholla are among the most daunting, protecting the watery inner pulp from all but the thirstiest browsers. Despite its forbidding aspect, the cholla is home for some creatures like the cactus wren. One of the largest of the wrens, it copes with the vicious spines by stepping carefully around them with its small feet. In comparison to the agile and well-adapted cactus wren, the ground squirrel seems a tenderfoot explorer in the thorny, jungle-like growth. only the prospect of a juicy fruit could make the painful expedition worth the effort. Even now, the squirrel is unable to take advantage of the rich source of food and water until most of the spines have been removed from the fruit and from itself. But right now, cactus spines may be the least of its problems. The Harris hawk is one of the desert's many predators, and ground squirrels are high on its list of prey. In this most challenging of environments, only the hardiest of plants and animals can survive. Among them, some ferocious hunters. The collared lizard, ounce for ounce, is one of the most formidable killers in the Baja Desert. Strong limbs and bone-crushing jaw muscles allow this foot-long lizard to pursue a variety of prey with chilling efficiency, including the side-blotched lizard. Baja's forbidding desert is only part of the story. It descends abruptly into a radically different realm, the huge gulf known as the Sea of Cortez. More than 100 islands dot its surface, and basins that plunge nearly 2 miles deep lie hidden beneath. But this apparent peace is deceptive. Within its waters, powerful currents flow, some faster than many large rivers. In the narrow central part of the Gulf, where a cluster of islands constricts the channel, tidal currents create deep turbulence. The churning waters make the environment rich in nutrients, which nourish vast blooms of drifting plankton, minute prey for one of the sea's largest and most ominous creatures. The manta ray may span over 20 feet and weigh more than a ton. But this massive creature is an irresistible target for commercial fishermen. Here, it is a dying breed. Another of the Gulf's most endangered animals is the green sea turtle. This gentle reptile is one of the most common types of sea turtles, but in recent years, it's becoming increasingly rare. Valued as a gourmet food, it's fast disappearing in the wild. Efforts to breed it in captivity may not be enough to keep it from vanishing in the area. The turtles feed largely on green algae, which they shear off the rocks with beak-like jaws. But this is a sight that is fading quickly in the Sea of Cortez. The jawfish of the Baja Gulf is a stay-at-home, never venturing more than a foot from the mouth of its burrow. Intruders may be met with a mouthful of sand. But it's not simple aggression. It also cleans out the burrow, keeping open a retreat from danger. The abundance and variety of marine life here provides some spectacular sights, and a constant interplay between the hunter and the hunted. Fierce hammerhead sharks patrol in awe-inspiring regiments on the lookout for unwary prey. This rich sea provides food for predators both below and above the waves. The brown pelican may seem an ungainly hunter, but appearances belie its expert fishing skills. More brown pelicans nest on islands in the Sea of Cortez than anywhere else in the world. These sanctuaries are essential to a wealth of seabirds, in fact, and one stands out from all the others, Rasa Island. On the island's less than 1 square mile, some 350,000 birds find room to live and breed. Two very similar kinds of terns lay their eggs here. The royal tern has a broader bill and whiter crown than its close relation, the slightly smaller, elegant tern. Even side by side, they aren't easy to tell apart. Both species range widely, but the elegant tern has no other significant breeding colony in the world. It may fly thousands of miles to lay its eggs on Rasa Island. The tern colonies are surrounded on all sides by ranks of hundreds of thousands of Heermann's gulls. And like the elegant terns, this is their prime nesting area, though space is at such a premium. A lone gull finds itself running a gauntlet through the territories of established pairs that have claimed a spot for their own. In the late afternoon, both terns and gulls take a relaxed moment away from the noisy chaos of the colony. the evening, mussels put on an eye-catching display, squirting water high in the air. Nightfall reveals other creatures that depend on the Sea of Cortez. Unusual among bats, these animals eat fish as well as insects. Thousands of them swarm over a few island hillsides where they live in rocky crevices. The bat's teeth are well adapted for holding and eating fish, but it's the scimitar-like claws of the hind feet that hook their slippery prey. With only seawater to drink, they have evolved ways to expel excess salt. To help locate prey, they use their large ears to hear the ultrasonic echoes of their penetrating cries bouncing back from the sea. Like many bats, mother and young form a tender bond. Meanwhile, night on the mainland desert encourages other small nocturnal creatures to emerge. No other comparably sized place in the world has so many varieties of scorpion as the Baja Peninsula. Some 60 species live here, about 2/3 of them unique to the area. This one is adapted by evolving bristly feet to gain traction in the sand, while this scorpion's more robust frame allows it to burrow beneath the desert soil. All scorpions are poisonous, though most no more so than a bee. Some, however, have stings powerful enough to kill a human being. The young are born live and may stay with their mother for several weeks before striking off on their own. Mating is a tricky business for scorpions. It can also be lethal, though it's not the stings that pose the danger. The male is smaller than the female and must keep a tight grip on her pincers. Otherwise, she may turn to cannibalism, and the male may become a meal. The pair finds a hard, flat surface on which to prepare to consummate their courtship. For the diminutive yucca night lizard, the scorpions are too big a mouthful to go after. The reptile is unlikely to pose a threat to most scorpions. In fact, in such encounters, it's much more likely to be the prey. The Hatteras scorpion is one of the world's largest, as big as 6 inches. Its sting and claws make a deadly combination for the night lizard. The reptile has a few tricks of its own, however. It may shed its tail during the struggle, allowing it to escape. A radical survival strategy, perhaps, but in time, the tail will regenerate. Throughout Baja California, the scarcity of water has led to a whole assortment of plants armed with spines and thorns. The environment also favors smaller animals, a few of which are able to breach those defenses. The wood rat is not as well designed as some for life here, but it scratches out a living by eating from the cacti. The rodent builds large nests that are well insulated with cactus debris to protect it from the extremes of the desert climate. Perhaps the best hiding place in a desert is a burrow. It's home for the kangaroo rat, no relation to the Australian native.
The hind legs of the animal are built for fast travel and leave its sensitive forepaws free to forage for starchy seeds. The kangaroo rat has a remarkable ability to convert dry food into water and wastes very little of the moisture. The animal may spend its whole life without ever tasting a juicy leaf or drinking a drop of water.
On moonlit nights, the burrow offers a valuable retreat from predators. About a foot below the surface, the temperature remains relatively stable, providing a cool place to rest and eat stored food. Few predators can enter the small opening, and the rodent can escape through several back passages. Once outside, however, danger lurks. The rattlesnake goes hungry this time. Hidden among these needles is another creature which has found a way to live here safely, out of striking range. This is actually a comfortable place to be for a cactus mouse. Rising from its bed of nails, the mouse finds another use for the needles, climbing among them like the rungs of a ladder. an abandoned bird's nest is a likely target for a thorough investigation by a wandering cactus mouse. Lined with feathers and down, it's a luxurious retreat in which to pass the day away from thorny problems. The terrain of Baja California is varied. In the desert uplands, dawn reveals a quiet palm oasis. Palm trees flourish in the few well-watered gorges of the area. Water flows year-round from underground sources. So precious a commodity draws the local wildlife. Desert bighorn sheep come here regularly to drink and browse. The ram has become aware of the presence of a nearby ewe. He's likely to watch her very closely. Female bighorns are receptive to mating for only a day or two each year. The bighorn sheep move easily among the rocks with their soft hooves. Few other large animals are so adept among these rugged hills. Not only bighorn sheep find relief among the palms and streams. In these canyons exists evidence of a mysterious, long-vanished people. The murals depicting the life they saw around them appear to be their only legacy. The origin and fate of the culture is unknown. By the time the Jesuit missionaries arrived around 1700, they found an entirely different native race. The missionaries left their own mark upon the land, as their influence expanded throughout the peninsula. But within a few decades, devastating disease and starvation halted their spiritual conquest very quickly. There were few souls left to save. For the Spanish explorers who ventured here, the myth of Baja California as a golden paradise soon turned to dust. They did not find the material treasures they sought. But there are riches here, some of which lie in the nearby Sea of Cortez. On remote San Pedro Martir Island, tens of thousands of seabirds make their homes. Among them, the blue-footed boobies are the ones that steal the show. They communicate with elegant body language, strengthening the bond between male and female. While some pairs are courting, others already have broods to care for. This kind of side-blotched lizard lives only on San Pedro Martir, relying heavily on the morsels of fish that are dropped while the booby chicks are being fed. There are dozens of other islands in the Sea of Cortez which support unique assemblages of plants and animals. The chuckwallas and other island inhabitants have evolved in size as big or small as conditions allowed. Isolated by the sea, they developed separate from outside influences. On the shores of some of these island sanctuaries, multitudes of sea lions frolic or relax in the warm sun. The play of the young males is a rehearsal for the real thing. Later in life, they'll compete vigorously for the right to breed. Bulls dominate the colony during breeding season. only the largest males will emerge with the opportunity to mate. The prominent forehead distinguishes this animal as a bull in his prime. Each male gathers as many females as his size and status will allow. He'll zealously guard his harem from the amorous attentions of other males. Bachelor bulls remain on the lookout for unattended females, and the dominant male must meet any challenges face to face. Victorious, the dominant bull returns to his claim. On Rasa Island, a month and a half has now passed since the terns and gulls began laying their eggs. Thousands of small, hungry mouths beg their parents for food. With so many birds coming and going, there's always a danger of being run over. The royal terns are large enough to hold on to their catch with relative ease. But the smaller, elegant terns are more vulnerable to marauding Heermann's gulls. The attacks can leave them badly shaken. Even if the terns manage to evade the airborne assaults, they may still not be in the clear. The piratical gulls persist even on land. Squabbling can break out over the stolen goods. There is no honor among these thieves. These avian hordes are sustained by the dazzling abundance of life beneath the sea. But even here, the tentacles of destruction have found their way in. The waters that appear so pristine may not always be able to support so much life. Every living element here is interconnected, from the massive manta ray to the microscopic plankton on which it feeds. No one knows exactly what insults the system can absorb before the delicate chain of life is irreparably damaged. Baja California may find protection in its own mountainous spine, a barrier that may continue to prevent the most determined of man's attempts to broach it. The peninsula has long been a natural refuge. Baja California is a place where time is measured in the natural rhythms of life. The harmony expressed here is the music of the earth, lingering sweetly in the air above the place where the desert meets the sea.